Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. Thank the Maker. This is episode 114, being recorded on Wednesday, January 1st, 2014. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guests today are Chong and Red. So, Chong, how you been doing? What you been up to?
I'm good. I've been working and a little bit of drinking today, so I may be a little abnormal, or normal, as most people would think. For meaning game. So I've been doing nothing but PvP as far as ground PvP, and I've been doing Galactic Starfighter.
Okay.
I finally got my Strike Fighter mastered, but I spent a lot of cartel coins doing that, so I cheated. Yeah. And I bought one of those Amazon cards, the 200 or 2,400 ones, and got the little plane too.
Nice.
Cool. Very nice.
And other than that, I'm just tired of doing the Galactic Starfighter. At least solo queuing. It's so stressful. I can do it with people that I know because it's kind of fun, and I seem to be better because I'm usually drunk when I'm doing it. And but I'm just tired of solo queuing. It's not fun anymore. So I've just been doing ground PvP to replace that.
Now, why isn't it fun? Is it because the teams you end up on are terrible, or what?
No, it's just every time I solo queue, it's like ground PvP. It's lopsided. Either you're on the winning team or you're on the losing team, and it's always the same. I never get in these tight matches where it's like real close. It's always I win by 1,000 to 5 or I lose 1,000 to 5. It's the same with PvP. It's like I'm either getting crushed or we're crushing. So it's just I get tired of solo queuing. It's just not really that fun. It's boring.
I can understand that, sure.
Yeah,
I never solo queue, so...
I do prefer the group experience as well.
Yeah, I just have fun with the group. I think that's why I enjoy it more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Red, how about your week?
It went well. Happy New Year to everybody. We had Christmas.
Sorry. That was my bottle opener.
So, Red, just restart that bit.
I have a Homer Simpson one, so I can totally relate.
So Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, everything else like that. No, it was a good week. I had a lot of fun. I did get out of the house quite a bit, which of course means a little bit less of the game experience. Although we did have a pretty fun time. A group of 5 of us all got on to Hangouts, and we actually, almost every one of us, I think one of us didn't have an extra monitor, so we were actually able to see one another while we were doing the Galactic Starfighter, and that was pretty awesome. It's like, instead of using TeamSpeak, we were using a Google Hangout, and it was working really well.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, I did do a lot of Galactic Starfighter, too. I can't say whether or not I'd like it solo queuing, because I really don't get online. At least throughout this holiday period, I haven't got online at all, if there wasn't at least one other person that I knew online to play with. I did put out during the week that public service announcement about if your subscription runs out before the 14th, you will lose access to being able to play Galactic Starfighter.
Right. Yeah.
You'll lose it entirely because we do have at Strong Shocker, his subscription lapsed and he went into play and just zero access. In fact, he's got such zero access, he doesn't know if once it relaunches, I can't imagine this would be the case, but he's got that slight concern that perhaps he'll have to start over again when 14 launches.
No chance.
I can't imagine that would be the chance at all,
Doesn't seem right,
whatsoever. But
right.
Did do some more achievements. I don't know what I'm at. The cool thing about Galactic Starfighter was I finally started hitting a lot of those achievements where you have to do specific things, 200 or 100 times in 100 matches, or 50 on each type of starfighter. So I've got all the 50 wins on every single type, and I've got the 1,000 medals earned, and I'm starting to even get some of those MVP medals. So And those are nice. Those are big 25, 50 pointers that hit fall. It's just been the past 3 or 4 days they just started to be popping up one after the other. So, and then a ground game. I never did get to go to Ilum or do the Gree event. I just couldn't motivate myself. Without having someone else to do it, I really wanted to because we have no idea when the Gree's coming back. It's no longer happening rapid fire like it was before, so I'd like to have gotten it out of the way. At the same time, without having anybody to do it with, I just couldn't motivate myself to go out and finish it. So that is a few hundred prestige points I'm missing out on because I just didn't want to do it alone.
It's like sex.
Yeah, I don't like to do sex alone either. That's true. But no, otherwise it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Excellent. All right, Tio, how about your week?
All right. We didn't actually raid last week. As we mentioned, people are on hiatus. This week is looking a bit grim as well, but given the temperature forecast for us, there's a heat wave where I'm living at the moment. So
Oh, wow.
I'd be quite happy missing out on the raiding, actually, so I can go and find somewhere cool to hide.
Right. Because you end up, your computer room's not super comfortable, right?
No, it does get
When
hot.
it's really hot. Mhm.
Yeah. And my computer itself doesn't get comfortable either because it
Right.
gets real hot. It's not good. All right, so what I mainly did this week, as I have been for the previous weeks, was Galactic Starfighter. I've been getting on with Junodai, guildmate of ours, who is a gunship specialist, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
My own strike fighter it's not mastered yet. I've 8 of 9 components
Wow.
mastered now, just working on my secondary, which has slowed me down a bit because I made the switch from concussion missiles to cluster.
Huh.
Cluster, they fit my playstyle a bit better. They do less damage, but they have a 1.5 second lock-on time.
Right.
So, given how I like to play, that's a little more fun.
Is this with the Star Guard or with the Pike?
With the Star Guard. My
Okay,
two
so
mastered
just one
primary
missing.
weapons are my quad lasers and ion. That is working out really well. So you use your ion to drain their engines and reduce their shields to nothing, and then you quickly switch the quad and blow through their hull. And
Nice.
they dissolve very quickly at that point, so that's going well.
So Ion reduces their engines as well as their shields?
Once it's fully tiered, once you've spec'd it out all the way,
Ah,
one of the
it's a tiered
options
thing.
is draining engine power.
I've missed that. That sounds like a good option.
Yeah. An idea, or something that's been bothering me for a while in Galactic Starfighter is you cannot see your own team in a raid frame like we can just with regular operations or flashpoints or whatever, or in PvP. That would be really useful, to be able to see the list of people in your team, see how their shields and hull are doing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it'd also be nice to know who's close and who's far away, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can sort of move. When I'm guarding a satellite, there's no actual way to tell if there's anyone else close by. If you look on the mini-map, it's really hard to tell, especially if your satellite has grown its 3 turrets. They're like 3 green dots, and your own team are green dots. And if they're just above the satellite, you're just not going to see them. So having just some way of seeing who's close by would be great as well. I did check the being able to change the UI in the UI editor, but there's just no way of switching that on. So
Okay.
let's hope that's happening. Something a friend of mine, Drew, wanted to mention. We failed to mention the playable species as something that's going to come up. We know BioWare has talked about that as something that will be coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't told us which species, but they're working on something.
Did they say soon? I thought they said that was still a ways out.
Well, that was when they were talking about it. It's now a ways out. So I'd say the next 2-3 months, maybe, as a vague prediction. He also was thinking that we talked about the Gree, because they're testing us with the Gree event, maybe as a prelude to invasion. Another possibility is that they're looking for allies against a really tough invader. So that would keep the Gree sort of on our side, which would make the mission series on Coruscant kind of make sense still, because we're kind of helping them and allied with them. So maybe that's why they're testing us.
The Terror from Beyond was about the fact that little squid guy that we met with is one of the Gree. and they were asking us for our help to protect against the portals being taken over.
Right.
And they hinted at some other large concern. That would be more what I would think it would come from, but along the lines of that Greece storyline.
Yeah. Somewhere from the something to do with Greece.
Why can't it be a Gungan species?
Because Gungans don't exist in the Star Wars universe at this time.
Fuck.
Yeah. Maybe Naboo just... Yeah. Anyway, what else? Something that the Candelaw on Twitter brought up was /ignore. If you ignore other players, he believed it worked with Warzone queuing. So if you ignore someone, that actually did prevent them from ending up on your side in a Warzone. The same way it works with flashpoints. If you ignore someone, the group finder will not put you in a group with them. But I thought it did not work with Warzones. So can anyone...
Yeah, I know for a fact it doesn't work, because there's a couple cunts in Warzones that I don't like playing with, and I constantly get queued with them.
Right. Okay.
But they don't say shit anymore, because I don't see them.
I definitely know it hasn't been working in the past, but then again, I haven't played enough recently in the recent past to know if there's been any change to that.
Right. So...
No word of it.
No, you still get queue with them. I ignored Tio a long time ago, and I still play with them.
I know they definitely did implement that for the looking for group function for the PvE side, but I thought that we had been told explicitly that that was not a function of PvP queue.
I don't remember them ever saying that, but it was a feature of the group finder right from the beginning. All right, the last bit for my week was during Fight Club. Now, I mainly did Galactic Starfighter during Fight Club while these guys were doing ground PvP, but I discovered on my operative that I was like, I had the weekly finished, I had the second daily finished, and I was 3 or 4 on the you need 4 games played on the regular daily. I was 3 or 4. So I just need 1 match to finish all that off so I could hand it all in. And so I queued with the guys just for that 1 match. I ended up in Hardball, which was pretty disappointing.
That was funny, because we know you hate it, and then we didn't do it all day. And then as soon as you join us, we get Hardball the first match.
Yeah, isn't that typical? Anyway, awesome. It was Chong, Mosk, and Jace for just that match. I was really rusty on the operative because I actually haven't played him for like a month, ever since Galactic Starfighter came out, pretty much. And so I was just trying to remember all of the abilities and things, and it turns out it's mainly muscle memory. That wasn't any problem. But as we were going, we just got to mid, and I realized I didn't have to pass the Hutball ability on my action bar anymore. Somehow it got removed. I don't know why I took it off. So I said in mumble to the guys, all right, just no one pass the ball to me. It'll be fine. I'll just heal. And then literally a few seconds later, the enemy team threw the ball to me. So I'm standing there with the ball. And
he was all by himself. No one around him. The guy just threw it to him like he was his own team.
It was very strange.
It was almost like he heard Tio say it.
Yeah. So I start moving towards our goal line, obviously. I desperately open my ability book just to pull out the ability. I stuck it on my action bar. I was able to pass it. I think you went on to score, which was a really bizarre thing. So that actually worked out well.
You were screaming, though. You're like, I can't find the ability. I can't find the ability.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, And then I ended up scoring twice. It was a fantastic match, and I came third on the scoreboard, and I got 11 medals, so I don't know how that happened. But yeah, my 1 PvP this week was just amazing. So I stopped there because I didn't want to... The hardball. Yeah, so I didn't want to... I wanted to go out on a high note as far as it went. So anyway, that was my week. Over to you, Chil.
All right. First, a shout out to the chat room. We've got Ari, Arik, Cal, Ben B55, Big Dan, and Grimrock are all here on this slightly unusual time. We're recording a little earlier than usual. And my week, I was sick. So if I sound weird, that's why. I'm still sick. I was started getting sick on Saturday night, and I'm still sick here on Wednesday. So I barely remember what I did before Saturday. I guess I did GS. So there you go. That's it. All right. So let's get on with it. On to the
Although
tip of the
I am
week.
liking this good look, this little Darth Maul look you got going on.
Yes, I'm wearing my dark robes. So for healing purposes. Let's see, the tip of the week. We got a couple of them. First, Russ at Mancephalus. Happy New Year, OotiniCast. During the last podcast, you spoke about mouse over healing. I've tried several ways of doing this using third-party software, but I found them quite difficult to do. I've now invested in a Logitech G600 to replace my Corsair gaming mouse. The Logitech software allows you to make macros, which include mouse clicks, unlike the Razer or Corsair software, which only allows you to add key presses. I don't know if this extends to other Logitech peripherals like the G13 and the Stromo equivalent, but it definitely works with the G600. And we have a second. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, there is just one issue with that, is just be very, very careful where you use it, in that it is considered an exploit if you set up a macro so that when your one click does more than what one click would do in-game. In PvE, they probably don't care as much, but if you did anything like that in PvP, they probably detect it and consider it an exploit. So just be careful. They're not that strict about it, especially in healing in PvE. I doubt they would care. But yeah, it is technically a violation of the terms of service. So.
Wait,
All
so
right.
if you bought a keyboard that has macros as part of its feature, that's against the rules of the game?
Only
If
if
you set
you're
up a
creating a
macro.
macro that lets you activate more than one ability instantaneously.
Uh,
Most abilities have the global cooldown and things like that, so that doesn't matter. You can do a sequence of abilities that are, it still takes you one press every time for each ability. But like if you pop all three of your defenses that have no cooldowns on them simultaneously with one button click, that is technically a violation of terms of service.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, but I got a G510 keyboard, and you can set like a macros to do push buttons for you. And was that against the rules?
What Red said basically, if
I
when you
don't know what
click
he said.
something, I'll explain it to you later
All right.
in small words.
Use
All right,
less
Tim.
bigger words.
And you wanted to read the second tip of the week.
Yes, this is from Kay, a member of the SweatTalk community I hold in very high esteem, but wishes to remain more or less anonymous. Anyway, they say, I have a tip of the week. I'll put it in the form of a poem. Hey, 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 buy cartel coins every day. You know, you can pretty much buy gold in SweatTalk by just purchasing hypercrates and being smart about speculating on the items you get. I open as many crates as it takes to get what I want/need, and then I sell off the fluff. Mostly clothing items that are kind of weak, like the Organa Statesman items or Hardball uniforms, for example. I then hoard any rest and relaxation items, toys, and crystals. I will wait a couple of weeks to sell pets and weapons, but I always get a good price. XP boosts get saved, and I only sell them during double XP weekends. Hypercrates also drop tons of blue crafting materials, which saves me a lot of money. And finally, companion gifts sell for insane amounts of money if you sell them at the right time, which is usually 2 weeks after a new pack is released. I have fully unlocked cargo holds, which are packed with stuff from discontinued packs and current items like the Morlinger vehicles, pumpkins, armor, R&R items, dancers, and so on. I estimate I have 650 to 730 million credits in items ready to sell when the market is right.
Wow.
Wow. So Bill, I think she's doing pretty well. Anyway, it's also a great idea to buy... What's that?
Sorry. Didn't rhyme.
It's also a great idea to buy die packs. As far as investment versus profit, die packs yield far more money than hypercrates. A die pack only costs 200 cartel coins and can yield 5 million in dies. An entire hypercrate on a good roll will yield about 10 million at 0-day prices. Then the value drops unless one speculates on hot items. In order to make the most money from hypercrates, one has to speculate and sit on items for a while. Even speculating on hypercrades in individual packs themselves is effective. Being mindful of when the market is flooded and successfully predicting which items will be worth speculating on is key. I know it's not for some people, spending real money on in-game items, but for me it's worth it. My credit balance in Tor is part of my score in-game, and I like having money. I'm Japanese, so I get a +10 racial to gold farming, but I'd much rather make money this way so I can farm other things like comms and gear. So...
Hey, all right.
That is an excellent tip. There's tons of advice in
Yeah.
there. And I'm interested to hear what Bill has to say on that if we do manage to interview him next week on how to make credits in SWOTOR.
And a
Let's
sense
add
of humor,
music
too.
on.
That's awesome. All right. That'll bring us to the community corner.
Oh.
And we'll start.
Winner, chill.
Right. Winner by random allotment. The winner was Kay, actually, wasn't it, Tio?
Yes.
All right. So Kay will be receiving a Tonfon code courtesy of BioWare and one of the latest cartel packs, not that he needs them, courtesy of this podcast. All right. That will bring us to the community corner, and we'll start with Cal's Utini Templars rating report. The Templars began with Cracker PJ and I moving from the APAC servers to the Harbinger. As with many others, we immediately joined the Utini chat channel and took the quiz to join the guild we had heard so much about. While we loved the fact that we could now queue up for an op and get a pop, we also wanted to join get our own progression group going. So we started asking around on the fleet, in guild chat, and on Twitter for others who would fit, excuse me, our Aussie time slot. That was when we met up with Ham, who, as main tank, quickly became our nominal leader. Or as I like to think, that pushy guy that kept stopping us from mucking about and got the raid going. We had managed to get an almost full 8 with Moff Chong and Betty healing, Ham and I tanking, and Cracker, PJ, and Greg DPSing, when Jace joined the group as a tank, and I swapped to my Slinger DPS. With a full 8 set, we set about doing hard mode flashpoints and story mode operations to gear everyone up. What I found most impressive was that we managed to combine 4 different time zones into our group and make it work. We had a great couple of months doing ops every Wednesday and Thursday night, but then Ham let us know he was headed back to the States and would probably have to leave the group. As Ham had been such an integral part of forming and guiding our group, this was a hard thing for us to deal with, as we weren't just losing a tank, but we were losing a friend. It was around this time that Ari joined the guild. Greg asked if she'd be interested in filling in, as they were looking for someone to replace Ham. Excuse me. She was heal spec'd at the time, but was keen on swapping to DPS and has fit in well with the group, meaning she can tolerate Chong's humor and has embraced the concept of drunken raids. While we aren't a hardcore... Is that right, Chong?
How dare you?
That sounds like a yes. While we aren't a hardcore raiding group doing hard and nightmare mode operations, we are a group that is dedicated to having fun. I'd like to thank everyone for a great year in SWOTOR. Cal. All right, and Tio, you have an update to the crew calculator.
Just a small change that I made was to add a link into just the top part, which will always reflect what you currently have selected. So if you just copy that link after you've made a few selections, you can then bookmark it or mail it to someone else or tweet it or whatever, so other people can see your current crew selection.
Right, so you can say, hey, do you think I'm optimized or whatever?
Yep. There's a way of sharing it around. And also, thanks to the SWOTOR Escape podcast, their latest episode 19, where they gave us the crew calculator a shout-out. And they have some great predictions for what's coming up in 2014. They actually consulted with Yoda briefly. That didn't go too well, but there was some good stuff in there too.
Yeah, always in motion the future is, so.
Yes, indeed.
All right, force feedback. We'll read out your tweets and emails. First, the Malgadar. At the Malgadar. Quote of the week, 113. Why are we talking about GSF when we're supposed to be reminiscing? Tio getting the show back on track. It wasn't Hip's fault the show got derailed this time. And let's see, an image that went viral, original source unknown. That's pretty funny. I did see that on Twitter as well. It's the Darth Vader Christmas tree.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's mine, by the way.
You wish. You wish.
Yeah, there's a lot of little details in there too. Like I'm pretty sure some of those little The Christmas balls? I think there's one that's an R2 one, about halfway up. Am I wrong there?
That is right by the TIE Fighter? Or
Yeah,
the TIE Fighter,
below the TIE Fighter, or the X-Wing.
X-Wing, yeah. Yeah, it
They
does
should
look
all
like
be.
a little...
Yeah.
No, it does look like... Or maybe it's a Death Star. Who knows?
Yeah, they should all be the Death Star, ideally.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Turg at the Turg. I sort of wish they didn't announce kill names in GSF. I never paid attention in ground PvP, but in space I'm obligated to get retribution.
That's why they should have
Yeah.
added it. Because I hunt all those assholes down. And when it kills me, I go right for them.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
entirely possible that someone I play with regularly has a list which is rapidly expanding, and he just keeps names, and if they are ever in game,
Rather than a kill or a
kill
ignore
list.
list, he's got a kill list.
hmm
yes.
Yeah, I remember ages
Hyper
ago.
focus on list.
Ages ago, there was like an add-on in Warcraft that would let you, like,
Kill on
across your
sight.
guild, add people to a kill list, basically turn your whole guild into a to a killing machine for certain people. So
You guys can't hear that, right?
Absolutely
No,
can.
not at all.
Sure.
Totally silent.
Okay.
And no, it didn't sound like multiple bottles banging against each other either.
It's my day off. Shut up. And I'm not sick.
That's true. Yet. Turg at the Turg. GSF today was like dragging a bag of bricks around, except I prefer a real bag of bricks because I could throw those at enemies. It was terrible even when we won despite them. 6 in the middle of nowhere, probably chasing a scout, herding cats.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. Matches that I don't know. It seems that in almost every match I get into, almost everyone ignores the objectives. They're just off somewhere doing something. So I'm the only guy. If I'm with people that in guild, it's fine because we organize ourselves and cover each satellite. So there's usually one of us at each one. But if
Does it
there's
feel
not,
like- Sorry. Does it feel like they all just want a 3-cap every time?
it seems that way rather than
Yeah.
just holding. It's good to push the other satellite, but when you're sending
Right.
most of your team there and you haven't got enough to defend,
I've seen them just leave. Like, as soon as they get like a little satellite, they're like, fuck it, I'm out of here. Yeah, that's annoying.
Or even before.
Yeah. They're just like,
Oh, we're green. Let's
get I'm out of here. I'm getting out of here. Yeah, that's annoying.
Yep. Yeah, if you're new to Galactic Starfighter, then yeah, as soon as you cap the satellite, that's great and all, but until you have a satellite up, a turret up around your satellite, then if you leave, then they can start capping immediately. So
yes, which I've done occasionally if the other team. Sadly, the other team is a little too. They're always switched on. I don't know what's going on here. Why is it our side? Anyway, also note that I've also noted that there's a few good players on the imp side. I think we mentioned the imps were playing a lot better on the Harbinger. That has continued. We've had some, unlike you, Chong, we've had some really close matches where it really has come down to the wire. So, yeah, and there are certain players who have this really, really annoying habit of managing to stop their Starfighter right on top of the satellite, sort of tucked in between a few structures, and shooting them off is a pain. I mean, you can get above them and shoot them, but you're then out of capping range. So if all the turrets are down, they will start capping if you move away to blow them up.
Right.
I can usually eventually stop in a spot and just destroy them, but it takes a while.
Yeah, and usually they've got a pretty good angle to start shooting back if you try. So.
And if it's a
It can be
scout
quite dangerous.
and they're in front of you, they'll just unload with their rocket pods and you are dead, no matter what. So.
Yeah, no lock-on time for some of if they choose that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Turg continues. If you only have one satellite, don't waste 4 ships sitting on it while the other 4 to 8 go against 8 to 12 ships trying to get a second one. And then Bill Lentz chimed in, but it is better to sit because you accumulate shipwreck much, much faster.
Now that is true. Obviously, it doesn't win you matches, but you do get a lot of defensive medals by sticking by a satellite.
Yeah, but metals don't translate into wreck. But defending
Well, they
does.
actually...
They do.
Well, yes.
They totally
Taking turrets and capturing locations gives you a lot more than sitting on a location, though. A whole lot more.
That's
But
probably true.
being between locations, not taking out turrets, just killing people, sitting on the node is definitely better. A
Yes.
whole lot better.
Well,
But you're less
doing
likely
something at the
to-
node.
You're less likely to kill yourself if you're flying around drunk.
That's a
Fair
fact.
enough.
Yeah.
Fact.
All right, Raz at Master Bear Jedi. Just bought my first piece of rowing gear. Woot! Only 11 billion commendations to go.
That's fairly
That's about
accurate
right.
in terms of the volume required, yeah.
Yep. He also said, I thought if you unlocked a companion of a different class on the ground, that comp was available in space. I seem to still have to use Fleet Rec to unlock them all.
So this is a good opportunity just to clarify how that works. When you will have access on your any given character to any companions that you've unlocked via story, they will be available to choose as crew. And that's addition to the default 4 that each faction has. So there's 4 plus whatever you've unlocked through story. You get them for free. The rest you can unlock using Fleet Rec. So he quoted 1,500, but I'm pretty sure I'm only paying 12 or 1,300. I did actually unlock someone, so I could change my ability loadout with Fleet Rec. But yeah, even if you've got those other characters and you've unlocked companions on them, you've unlocked companions via story on other characters, you will not have free access to them on a character or not of that class. So it's you unlock them yourselves through story, or you don't have them. You can also pay Fleet Rec to unlock companions in your own class story that you haven't got to yet. So you do not have to wait. But you're spending Fleet Rec, you could just save if you did the story. So anyway, that's how it works.
Okay. And Raz also said, seriously, can these ships get any more customizable? Holy cow.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. Yeah, a lot of options. I mean, like...
I can think of ways to make them more customizable, but let's not get that.
Yeah, let's...
There's so
say
much
that
already
future
that's
show.
good.
Yeah.
All right, Snowy at Biotor Snowdog tweeted to us a rather one-sided Galactic Starfighter match earlier today. Go Republic.
I have seen that kind of score occasionally. So his team score was 1,000 to when they won, and the enemy was 5.
So they
which
managed
basically
to get
would
5
have come
kills.
from 5 kills, and they never capped the satellite. So yeah.
Ouch.
I see those matches a lot. I mean, I'm sometimes on the receiving end of it, but
I think the best I've personally seen is we won 1,000 to 7. This is better even than that.
Yeah, when you look at the damage the other team did according to the scoreboard, it was pretty bad. I've seen quite a few players. They must just be brand new and just have no idea of the controls or anything like that.
if you check my Twitter page, I got one that beats that. On my Twitter page, I got one that's 1,000 to 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can dig that up for the show notes. That's pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
Is that one of those where you like 8 out of the 12 ships end up at the other guy's spawning point, just blowing them up as soon as they appear?
Well, the weird thing is the 1 point we got that they got is because some guy stupid ran into the pole. You know, the little ship that you get. He like self-destructed right at the beginning. That's their first point they got, and then after that, they only got 2 more kills.
So have you seen that, Chill, where they just stay out of range of the enemy's capital ship and then just intercept them as their
I have, but if you get too close, you get
Wow.
wiped. But yeah, I've seen matches where like they start to go to the spawn point.
I got to be
pretty
in a
rare,
group
but it
where
happens.
what we did was we left 2 at each satellite, which left you 6 to go to their spawn direction. And what we did was we took a bunch of gunships and just spread top to bottom, left to right, and they were just coming at a wall of gunships. So as they were spawning, we were just nuking them, and they couldn't get through. And if one guy happened to sneak his way through, there were 2 sitting on the satellite ready to take him out.
That's
It
terrible.
was pretty awesome.
All right. Dunadai sent us an email. Hey guys, following on from the comment last week, if you want some cool looking pistols for a gunslinger, but don't want to spend cartel coins, there is another option. Arms Tech can craft Two Fingers Revenge, and it is usually on the GTN for about 20,000 credits. And the matching weapon, Campaign Field Medic's Blaster Pistol, is available for 150 classic commendations. It's almost the same as the one recently added to the cartel market, but has an additional scope and looks really cool. Pics are attached. And he attached pics, and they are really cool. They're very cool, in fact. I especially like the one of him taking the shots.
Oh, he's firing, or are those just the lasers?
I'm assuming he's taking an actual shot.
Those are the black-blue crystal, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, and also a quick Galactic Starfighter tip. If you have any components upgraded to the top 2 tiers and decide to inspect one of the other components in that category, your skill points will be reset on your previously selected component on the 2 leftmost options. So if you switch components a lot between matches, just check that your choices are still selected. I'm not sure if this is a bug or working as intended. Thanks for all the great shows. Happy New Year to you all. Have you been able to confirm this, Tio? This bug
really,
/ whatever?
Let me just have another read of it.
Okay, I get this. What he's saying is, so if you didn't go with the default component and you teched it out, once you get down into the tree, you know, when you unlock, when there's more than one choice on the tree, when you unlock it, you're choosing the left one or the right one to actually go into the match active. If you click on another component, so say instead of quick charge shields, you want to check out the fortified shield and just look at the details and what's in those trees, by clicking on that other component, it does select it. So when you go back and click back on the loadout, so if you have it unlocked already, it selects it. If you go back to the one that you actually want to go into the match with, make sure that you're also selecting which part of the tree you want to go into the match with, because every time you click on a component in the same slot, it's going to reset everything to the left-hand side on those trees.
Yeah, that is clearly a bug. Or it sounds like a bug.
Sounds like one, yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Graham, excuse me, sorry. Graham Sellers sent us, I guess, a tweet. Happy New Year. Have a question. I'm about to start a healer class guy. What class is best for healing?
So I did respond to him via email, and so I'll give...
Was your answer depends?
Well, I gave him the 2 answers for PvP, Operative or Scoundrel, hands down. That just seems like the choice. I'm sure the other 2 will work, but Operative and Scoundrels are that much better, particularly for Arena. For PvE, for Operations of Flashpoints, there really isn't a strongest one. Sages and Sorks, maybe, for particular encounters where there's a lot of AoE healing where people are grouped up, and you don't find those much anymore. Any of the healing companions are good for PvE, really. They're pretty even in terms of balance.
Right. Also, bubbles are nice.
Wait, he's talking about companions?
You can be proactive with bubbles as a Sork healer.
If I say companions, I meant classes. Any of the classes are good for healing.
Yeah. I have a trooper healer, and I'm going to say they're pretty good. Pretty damn good.
In PvP or PvE?
Oh, PvE. I'm a PvE healer for Cal's group.
Right, yeah, and Kuzey, of course, is our trooper healer and does an incredible job, always. So.
Me too. I do an incredible job, too.
Uh-huh.
I want a cookie.
All right, and speaking of Chong, you did a SWTOR Life Day Chong Humbug with a YouTube link.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so bad. It's just wrong. Why don't you describe what you did, Chong?
Basically, I didn't care for the Life Day thing at all. It was just Cal kept throwing snowballs at the bosses in his rotations because he wanted the stupid parcels, and we're trying to defeat the boss. So I was just getting annoyed by it, and then I was just like, I just thought the whole thing was kind of boring, to be honest. I know you guys kind of had fun doing it, I guess. I don't know how you guys feel about it. But, so I got enough to get the 24 parcels, and then I bought the sleigh, and then I recorded myself buying the sleigh, and then immediately deleting it. And so it's just so dumb. So, yeah, that was me.
All right. There you go. Let's see. So that's on YouTube. And next, Alex Hanna at AH. He mixes his names together, basically. Popped into an AH during the last cycle with 2 minutes left, marched to their pylon, took it, and won the game.
Now, this is our old friend Viz, and I did suggest, unfortunately didn't think of it at the time, that this would have been the perfect time to just RP walk back towards mid as the explosion goes off and taking a screenshot, because just the perfect moment for that. Well done, Viz. That is awesome.
Yep. AH in this case is Ancient Hypergate. So.
Yes.
Yeah, Quinobi wrote, while playing on the pub side, I enjoyed the cheerful throwing of snowballs. While playing on the imp side, I enjoyed the malicious throwing of tightly packed balls of anthrax. On the pub side, the sleigh one is packed with gifts that are going to be donated to the Coruscant Orphanage. On the imp side, the sleigh one is packed with gifts that were stolen from the Coruscant Orphanage. You can tell Bioware that it's going to take a lot more than some festive world event to break my immersion.
Well done.
All jokes aside, for the second year in a row, I consider SWTOR to be one of the best games of the year, and the insights, tips, and entertainment of the OotiniCast only made the game that much better. Thanks, guys, and have a happy new year. Thanks, Quinobi.
Thank you, Quinobi.
And Ferris Terran, at Ferris Terran, tweeted, any hints on whether the Cyan Sphere will be purchasable when the Gree next visit?
Now, that is the one that requires the parcels as well, and as far as I know, it's only being sold by the Master of Ceremonies vendor for the event. Who has anyone checked in game now that the event is over? It did last an extra day until early hours of January 1st, so not that long ago. Anyone check to see whether he's still there? I'd assume he'd disappear.
I kept getting hit by snowballs, and that was annoying.
Yeah, I haven't been in game. I actually sent my main the extra parcels, but I haven't been in game to actually go and see if I could get the Cyan Sphere.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I got the Cyan Sphere the second day, and I didn't. I'd assume it would not be on the Gree vendor because it's.
Is it on the Gree vendor now?
I did go out there. No, I didn't see it on the vendor out there because I was checking some other stuff.
When the Gree next turn up again, unless it happens to be next end of next year, no, we would guess the vendor with that Cyan Sphere will not be around.
Ah, well.
And conceivably, that could change from year to year.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yep. Charles Hatfield, at the Hatfield. I'm sorry, but why can't Scorpio one-shot everything in Mega Security Ward 23?
I haven't actually finished the agent story, so does that make sense, what he's saying?
Yes, from what I remember. But, yeah, I mean, Scorpio is actually sort of an interesting character, so...
And she's omniscient.
I'd rather not give spoilers away.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, there's a lot of story that goes into her.
Yep.
I like Scorpio. And she's hot because she's like a naked booby robot.
And let's see, Ben_B55, who's in the chat room, let us know that his achievement score is currently 19.
Prestige.
Sorry, prestige score is 19,635. Pretty nice.
You are a contender, Ben. Now, how does that compare to yours, Red?
That's right around the same.
I can't remember. I know I was talking to him last night on New Year's Eve, late night, but I'd been celebrating, and I can't remember how much that, how far that conversation went if I actually looked it up.
Okay.
I know because of some of the work I've been doing, it's probably around 19,500. I just don't know the exact number.
I assumed you did nothing but dream about your prestige score, so I thought you would know it.
No. Like I said, I was playing with my real life handle a lot this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, congratulations, Ben. That is outstanding work. Now, yeah, you have to get on, I assume you're already on that achievement list, that forum post that is being maintained with everyone's scores.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm pulling up the page right now. Let's see.
All right. While you look that up, I will go on to Brian Peters.
We can skip this one, chill, if you like, if your voice is feeling a bit...
I'm okay. It's a pretty short episode, so...
Yep.
Brian Peters wrote, I'm almost done with the old episodes. On episode 92, I believe, The new Naga was mentioned, with its mechanical keys, and I was surprised no one knew what that meant. Really? I thought I'd even heard someone on the show mention having a Razer Black Widow. Did I imagine that? The Black Widow is fairly famously a mechanical gaming keyboard, though in my opinion it, and apparently all other mechanical keys on Razer devices, use the dumbest possible mechanical switches for gaming devices, Cherry MX Blues. I feel relatively confident saying they only do it for marketing purposes and not because they're the best switches for the product, but I digress. A mechanical keyboard is one that has a separate mechanical switch for each key, which is not the case in standard cheap keyboards, most of which use dome switches. For more information, I'd recommend looking at two things. The Wikipedia article on keyboard technology, which explains the various types of keyboard. There will be a link in the show notes. The kind used in the vast majority of keyboards is the dome switch type. The type Razer boasts of is using the mechanical switch type, which also seems to be the most common specialized switch type, from what I've seen when keyboard shopping. I can't recall ever seeing a keyboard on Newegg that uses, for example, buckling spring switches. And two, if you're at all interested in learning about mechanical switch keyboards specifically, check out this guide. He has a link at overclock.net. It's what I used to look into it when trying to decide whether to get a mechanical keyboard myself. And if you couldn't guess, I did get one. And it's pretty detailed. Maybe too detailed if you don't care. Personally, I love my mechanical keyboard. It's nothing particularly fancy, not a special gaming keyboard or anything. Just a Rosewell that uses Cherry MX Browns. And I can really feel the difference when using dome switch keyboards now, especially at work. For gaming, I do still use things that have dome switches, like my Logitech G13 game board and G600 MMO mouse, and because of the mechanical switches, I've occasionally eyed the Razer Orb Weaver and the new Nagas, but one, they're really pricey, and two, they use mechanical switches that, as you'll see if you look at the guide above, are much better suited to typing than gaming, which has always struck me as extremely odd. If they used Cherry MX Blacks or Reds instead of Blues, hell, just about any kind instead of Blues, it would make sense. I really think the Blues must just be the cheaper, and then it lets them go, oh, look, we use mechanical switches. But maybe I'm being overly cynical.
No,
all right.
Probably not. Sounds fairly accurate.
Yeah, I should probably know more about this. My dad used to work for a keyboard manufacturer back in the day, but I never heard about the difference between dome switches and mechanical switches. And let's see. We're going to go on to the Sarlacc Digest, where we go over the issues for 1,000 years, or until we run out of time. And we're going to return to the ranked stats. And Teo, you've been doing all kinds of number crunching, and including improvements of the original page. And I'd love to hear what you got to say.
Well, on the actual main page itself, well, Chill, a while ago you suggested I archive the data for that we're getting from the ranked stuff. Now, as we know, the ranked data on the leaderboards is updated every 2 hours, they've told us. And thus I'm I'm retrieving our stuff for display on OotiniCast.com/leaderboards, which just shows graphs for more or less a current state of things. But every 24 hours, every day, I am capturing whatever the latest data is for that point. And I'm using that to build some longitudinal analyses of just who's playing, who's doing ranked, basically, from both the solo and group. And so the numbers I've got so far aren't really, you could say, indicative of any kind of trend, because it is over the holiday. So if the numbers are going to drop at all, it will be over the holiday, of course. Right. So I will include the graphs I put together. The numbers I've got are the active players per day. Now, just to clarify what this means, we can't get a completely accurate number because all I've got to work with are the number of wins, their rank, and MVPs, votes. Okay. So if any of those change, I consider that player active for that day. If it didn't change, obviously they're inactive. Okay. Now, I've already seen that I'm probably missing some at least, but It's probably an overall fair metric. So
Yeah.
what I've actually tracked on the graphs is the number of active players per day, which I just described, the number of new players per day who've never appeared in the data before, and anyone who's been active, the number of players who were active in at least the last 7 days.
Okay.
10-4.
So this does kind of paint an interesting picture once you actually look at the data. So let's just start with the solo queues for ranked. If you look overall, that's across all servers. According to this data, it's saying that when I started measuring, which would have been early December, there were maybe 2,500 players doing queuing for or doing solo ranked per day, and it did slowly drop at the moment. As we head into the new year, it's around 2,000, maybe dipping down a bit. But again, that's the New Year's holiday and Christmas. So, yeah. But anyway, so it's around 2,000. But when you consider that the number of subscriptions to the game, thus the number of people eligible to play, is maybe what? Let's say 200,000 at the least, hopefully more. We're looking at 1% of the total population, if that, doing solo ranked.
Right.
Yeah,
But
itty
then-
bitty portion.
Whoa.
And that is over the last, those are active over the last 7 days. If you look at it on a daily basis, you'd be lucky to have 500, 700 doing it on any given day. This is game-wide, US and EU servers.
Right. And yeah, the tricky thing is I'm looking at the different servers that you have below that, and some of them are much more robust. But unfortunately, this Harbinger is really low.
Yes, our good friend Galdarian, Drew from Corellian Run Radio, has been lamenting the lack of people queuing for solo ranked, and it's not in his imagination. According to the numbers,
I cannot. To this day, I'm like the PvP guy. I have not gotten to a ranked match. I've tried to queue, and I mean it's possible because the time of day I queue, which is late at night. But I cannot get in a ranked match for I lost my train of thought. Keep
but
going.
we get the idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I found really intriguing is that you see the Bastion even has plummeted for the solo queue, but it's actually begun rising for the group queue.
Right. And so let's just on the Harbinger, the number of people queuing per day, you're lucky. Well, some days there's none. I think it did get as high as 10 a couple of times, people.
Okay.
On the whole server on that day.
Oof.
So that's a bit rough. Now,
And
as
it's new players too, which is weird.
And
Like all the little jumps are the new players.
Yeah, and the number of a lot of these are new people playing it. So it's like, if it's not new players doing it, how many? It looked like the veterans have all either left the server or have just given up.
Right.
It's a little depressing.
Or a handful of them are hanging on in the group queue.
Yeah. The overall trend in the number of active per day, 20 at the moment for the last month or last 3 or 4 weeks. It's pretty bad.
But can we speculate that this is just because, I mean, this is the holidays, a lot of people are not playing games, a lot of people are
Yes,
doing other
I already
things.
said that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, continue.
I already said that. Anyway.
Right, so it will be interesting to see if these numbers do a bit of bouncing back in the next few weeks.
And reflecting on the Bastion, as Red mentioned, that massive drop it's like dropped from maybe around 350, 400 players active in the previous week on the Bastion. Now it's down to about 100 and dropped kind of precipitously. We'll get to the group numbers just to see. And the only other servers of interest were the ones that are like, if you look at the graph of who's doing ranked, it's like the main PvP servers, like the Bastion, the Tomb of Freedom NAD, which is the EU English PvP server.
Okay.
They have the highest percentage overall of players in the ranked leaderboards, and they're looking at maybe 800 average in the last 7 days active.
Mm-hmm.
On any given day, maybe 250 players doing it, and that's fairly solid as well. That hasn't really changed too much.
Right. And that
Yeah, their
seems like
solo queue is real steady.
yeah, those would be
Yeah.
healthy numbers. Those would be numbers that you could, get on and actually queue up.
Yep.
Not have
And
worry out of a pop.
Prophecy of the Five, which is the East Coast PvP server,
Mhm.
they're actually still pretty healthy too, in terms of maybe it was around 700 active last week, dropping to around 600 over the holiday. So they're doing pretty well as well. Maybe 200 active per day. So yeah, if you want ranked action, it really does seem the PvP servers are the place to be.
Right. Now on this graph, where did GS come in? Where did Galactic Starfighters start?
That's a good
14th,
The 14th. Okay. Because that
which you can see that's where a lot of these
Depending,
gentle
yeah.
declines begin. Or
Depending
for
on
the
your-
Bastion, it just plummets like right around the 14th.
Right, exactly.
Indeed.
Depending on your beliefs, that might be one of the factors as well.
Yeah. Which, this is another thing. It's kind of the reverse of something I've been thinking about. It's almost like it's genius that they made something so good as the Galactic Starfighter, but they only made it available to the subscribers first. And therefore, those are the only people that they're already paying. It makes sure they keep paying till they, kind of work it out of their system and then get back into the ground game, like for PvP on the ground game where you actually have to pay to be engaged. Right now, the only people that can play either PvP or Galactic Starfighter, ranked PvP or Galactic Starfighter at all, are subscribers. No one else has access. And so, yeah, we know that those of us that are subscribers have really been big into Galactic Starfighter. Those people are not doing ranked at the same time. They can't. They're the same pool right now. So it'll be interesting to see as people really do play a lot of Galactic Starfighter and then just want to go back into the traditional PvP, like even Chong is already starting to get to that point.
Well,
These numbers play out. And then the return of the vacationers as well. But definitely it's hurting.
Dekach comments in chat. Can't say I'm surprised that the PvP is healthier on PvP servers. Yes, you would expect that. I just wouldn't expect it to be quite so dead on PvE.
Well,
servers.
I mean,
we also
it's
know
combined
for a
also
fact
with the
that several PvE players, or several people who were on our server, the Harbinger, have moved to the Bastion.
Yeah.
So people are leaving the PvE servers who want to focus on PvP. So,
Right.
Yeah, tie that together with we know because we were expecting the 8v8 to start as soon as server transfers came out in order to guarantee 8v8 queue pops. People were consolidating onto the PvP servers beforehand. Then when they killed 8v8 ranked, there were a lot of people that they aren't interested in arenas, so they did just leave the game.
yeah.
They're hardcore PvPers. Arenas weren't their game, so they left. And then, now basically Harbinger, any PvE server, because of those different components, is really just going to be in pain. Really going to be in pain.
Can I say I agree with Cal when he says make all 55 PvP ranked? I don't really care. Why separate the ranked and non-ranked? Doesn't matter at this point.
I think the biggest difference should
I could
be
see that.
that you shouldn't be gearing in ranked, but
I'm just saying
that is the way it is right now, so why is it any different?
I just say get rid of ranked and make all PvP like one bracket. So there's just too many PvP stuff running around. It's PvP ranked. There's regular PvP. There's space PvP. It's just too much.
It's not like you're keeping non-serious players out of ranked
No,
in any
but
way. So
yeah,
why
I
not?
mean, exactly, because the people who are serious about PvP are still going to have good scores, even if they're going to crush other people. They're still going to have to face other people who want to poon every other. What is the word for poon? Pune. Pwn.
Mhm.
They still are going to care about their score. I see people in regular PvP every day just caring about their DPS or their damage or whatever their score. So let's just make regular PvP ranked. As far as
So why not also add? Well, they'd have to add a separate leaderboard for 8v8. Why not? Seems like a good idea.
and then that will give us back our 8v8 ranked. I mean, let's queue it. 8 people if they want to.
And you would add the additional restriction, maybe a separate leaderboard for pre-mades.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? I mean, if you're throwing in at least 2 leaderboards, why not just make 4 for pre-made groups? And have the matchmaking system only match pre-made against pre-made, and, well, we've got the old system back, and everyone's on the
Boom.
leaderboards. So,
Boom.
yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Chong saved the day. Everyone, send me beer.
Indeed.
That's awesome.
Indeed. Any final
Okay.
words? Oh, let's just quickly cover group. Just the group numbers very quickly. Overall, you've got... those numbers have stayed pretty consistent.
Right.
Around, let's say, let's say around 1,100 average players in group overall, game-wide.
Mm-hmm.
On the Harbinger, it's actually not looking too bad in
Yeah.
terms of steadiness.
That seems to be the way that people have figured out, okay, well, we're going to get a pop this way. So, the nice thing is that the group overall is lower than solo queue for all overall servers, but it has really held up well. I mean, it's basically where it started is pretty much where it is now, and that's not bad. So that's good.
And I think for
Actually,
myself,
at this
if I was
stage where
going
the
to
Bastion
rank
settled
all-
out, it's twice as many people are doing grouped as they're doing solo overall.
If I was going to do group at all, if I was going to do ranked at all, it would be as a group. I'm
Right.
just not going to solo queue anymore. So yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, as Red said, the Bastion is looking better in terms of group.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually only it's only 120 people, but I guess those are the hardcore PvPers on the Bastion.
That's what I guess the last day it spiked to 150.
Yeah, a lot of new players trying it as well, though. Quite a lot of new players.
I'm wondering if what might end up happening is that you kind of have a like you can let your PvP groups, if you've got a group of friends and you really like to PvP, I could see me and my friends kind of settling down into, okay, when the 4 prime guys, 4 of us that we know we work really well together, this is who we want to do ranked together with. When all 4 of us are online at the same time, queue up for ranked arenas. And have that be the equivalent of an ops night for our PvP environment. And then during off times and everything, we're in Galactic Starfighter. Still grouped together with whomever's online, but we're not too stressed and we don't have to worry about perfect makeup because we've all got the same access to everything. All the ships on one character, you know. You can't have all class types on one character or ground PvP. I could see that kind of shifting to our operating mode, you know. When we're playing casual, we're playing Galactic Starfighter. When we want to play serious, we're ground rank group.
Not a bad way to go.
Yep. Numbers for the rest. Actually, group on the Harbinger isn't that bad. Maybe averaging, it was as high as 80 players playing it. At the moment, around 60 to 70 players. But again, a lot of new players trying it out. People who haven't actually done group before. So it's actually surprisingly good on the Harbinger, looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
Timur Friedenad, which is as mentioned earlier, the EU PvP server. They've got around as high as over about 270 players active last week doing group. Dropping at the moment of the holidays to around 150, but still pretty solid. Prophecy of the 5, not quite as many, maybe 120 on average, slowly going down. But still, it's not looking pretty good.
Yeah. This actually is quite interesting.
Yeah, I'll keep this going. So we need some more data. Maybe in another month or 2, we'll just publish the numbers again and just see what they look like.
Sounds good. Are we doing the Wall of Crazy open world thing on the next page?
We are, since Red will be doing most of the talking, Chill.
Okay.
Chill,
So,
if you wanted to bail at this point, we could...
no, I'll do the outro.
Alright.
And Red, you have a Wall of Crazy open world PvP solution?
Yeah, so this is something that I've been piecing together by talking with some friends and then also having listened to some other shows, because of course everybody's got their own ideas about events and open world PvP as well as saving ranked and whatnot, which, you know, everybody's got their own opinions, everybody's got their own solutions, but I kind of me and my friends had some fun just kind of spitballing the things that you could do to create an engaged open world PvP environment with BioWare not needing to be so heavily involved. So kind of like having what we're envisioning here is an approach similar to events. But they don't need to be the ones that are organizing it. Let the community that's involved in the forums and everything, which I'm not a member of. But one of the things, I think it was Geldarian, I remember him mentioning, he loved the Oricon aspect of the open world PvP, even though he's on a PvE server. The community had just been choosing times to go flag themselves and attack one another.
Right.
And so, and of course there are certainly guilds that are active talking to themselves and in the forums trying to organize community support and everything. So a big thing I was thinking was, how do you get people engaged that don't pay attention to those external sites outside of the game? You really need something in the game. Well, there is something that exists in the game that they've been using for events. Those drop-down announcement holo terminals, the news broadcasters. You know, the Rat Ghoul event, hey people, Tatooine's breaking out with the plague, you know, and we've had the same thing for the Gree event, so that actually exists. And so what I'm kind of envisioning is that the community might be organizing certain times of the month, say once a month or once every 2 months, where they're going to go. The things we're going to need implemented in the game, very simple. Of course, every planet has achievements tied into it, so any planet that is multi-factional, there's PvP achievements to be gained. The community can choose it, have it move from planet to planet. There are massive open expanses. Think of Tatooine, areas where even quests don't go through them, and it's not a part of the Outlaws' Den, you know. But you could have everybody agree to just go meet in that area on that planet, and let's flag ourselves and do some PvP. I'd like to see an implemented galactic achievement category for PvP. So we've already got, each planet has their own little achievements, and those will still be worked towards, but then you can have, during these weekends when the speakers come down and tell everybody that's in the game, hey, this is the planet that the community's chosen for this week, when no other events are going on, if you want to go be a part of this, just show up. But then, no matter what planet you're on, you can have exorbitant, crazy numbers of kill people in open world combat. It'd be really, really nice if they had some sort of open world Valor equivalent or reputation. Something along those lines, because, you know, when we had our legacy bar, even though we had no rewards, nothing tied into it, there were those of us that just kept watching that bar growing and kept trying to do different things and figure out how best to make that bar move, even though there was no reason in sight. I think it would be nice to have a bar, and it would be nice for them to introduce something that's open world specific, so that Valor still stands on its own and, you know, separate, and but puts everybody onto a new level playing field. Now, one of my friends, I think it might have been B55 I was talking to, had mentioned for the Valor or Reputation, you could kind of have it be a blended system. So during the week, there's a cap. So then you have the people that are really into the open world PvP, and they go and they rush and they knock it out first thing when it starts, when those terminals drop down. And then they stop because they've hit their cap for the week. And then just before that week ends, you have the other people that are like, oh crap, I got to get it finished before that ends. But then that way you don't have these planets being inundated by multi-factional, you know, like for a PvP server, even if you put it in a location that is not specific to a questing zone or whatever. Lobies might get a little bit frustrated. So if you cap it, then you might be able to keep it from being a complete hellhole for a month. Of course, there's going to be complainers about anything. So yeah, that's the bare bones, right? Community-driven, make announcements using the event news broadcasters. I will record the vocals if they want somebody to do it without paying.
Wait. You're saying they should let us use that little galactic thing to make announcements?
Effectively, the community will choose well in advance on this date when there's no events going on. It's going to happen on this planet, and then They can be the ones that flip the switch, but it's coming from the community that they've driven where the location occurs.
Your Star Trek thing is going off. But so this is. I thought you said this is something SWTOR won't have anything, or BioWare won't have anything to do with. That's a major thing they have to do because they have to get the character models and the voice syncing.
They've already got the character models.
Okay, with the voice syncing.
The scripting would be non-trivial. Just making it text would be fine. That would be easy to inject in.
Exactly.
Let's just keep
All they
away
need
from
to
the
do is
newscast.
have a broadcaster that doesn't speak English, like they did for, what was it? Oh, we didn't respond at all.
Yeah.
Have them non-English so that they can just make alien noises, put the text up.
Yeah, but they do have to script those, so there is work.
True. I mean, there would be initial framework setup, just like implementing achievements that are galactic-wide. There's some initial framework, but they only need to do it once for every planet, and then it's done.
But can I make an event that's like?
Work.
But then can I make an event that's like every time you kill a boss, drink a beer achievement?
No, that's not the directed. All the community is deciding is a location.
I'm just saying when nothing's
and
going
working
on.
with BioWare on the time so it doesn't conflict when they've got events or other things happening.
There is a bunch of work for BioWare to do for this. So,
yeah,
okay.
that's I think my argument is it sounds like a lot more work for BioWare than they're willing to.
Oh, this is definitely something that will involve work. I'm just saying that they don't have to create entire cinematics.
Minimal. Yeah.
Right. Minimize the
Minimal
amount
for
of
BioWare.
work
Yeah.
so that the community themselves can be engaged on their servers, allowing this to happen, but just implementing a system that once the work that needs to be done is done, all that BioWare needs to do is push a button, this planet this week.
Yeah.
You know?
But
And that never needs to change.
Maybe Tio knows the answers. Can they segregate events by servers? Because I mean, events are based on. I mean, player-based events are based on server, right? So can
anything's possible, but I'm not aware of anything that is server specific right now. It's either everywhere or nowhere. So
that's my argument. Is I mean, it's if some server wants to do their own event because a guild is controlling
it's not a bad simplification though, in terms of just you pick one game wide and that's where it is. Whoever chooses it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh,
when
so
I'm,
and
when
if
I'm
it
sober, I will figure this out.
And if it turned out like if within, because I don't follow the forum community, right? I just don't deal with trolls, so I turn off general chat and I don't read forums. I don't use Facebook for the same reason. If it turns out that within that forum community, some people get really upset because, well, you chose this planet for every server this week, but we really want to do it here, then they could, the community themselves could sit and talk to each other and say, all right, well, this server gets to choose the location this time. Next time, this server gets to choose it, and the community still is the one doing that, making that decision, and they can work it out amongst themselves.
Right.
Again, this is a wall of crazy, and I understand, there's going to be more work here or there, but it seems like a better system than just saying contrived reason must always return to Ilum for mechanics that make no sense, or go to sandbox areas that nobody's using because nobody knows how to communicate with each other. I just like having something that's an in-game hook that lets everybody know something's happening in this location. Because I would participate with these community events if I knew about them.
I agree with you. I think this is kind of a cool idea. I'm just questioning how much of work BioWare would have to do to get that to work.
Right.
If it's something that could get players involved and they're interested, and if it's low-hanging fruit, so there's not much work for BioWare, then they would potentially schedule the assets or the resources to actually develop it. So if you can come up with a proposal that is workable, then there's no reason they won't.
All right. So
bang for buck.
Who do I need to call?
This is the calling.
I have a SWTOR
what we're doing now.
Somewhere. It's right here.
And of course, this would not be ranked. Of course, the point being, this is supposed to be mostly a community-driven thing that BioWare provides some hooks that allow community to communicate with each other within game. But outside of that, this is just, they could, in achievements, if they implemented a galactic-wide open-world PvP achievement scaling system, they could put some titles or maybe some cosmetic rewards. In the achievement system in general, even outside of PvP, I've been a little underwhelmed just because we've seen no cosmetic weapons or speeders or outfits in the achievement system itself as a reward. All we've seen is requisition or cartel coins or titles at this point.
Red, you are a whore for those achievements. I mean, even they don't need to have achievements. They could just be just fun things that you could do with other players. You don't have to have achievements every time.
No, that's true. I'm just trying to think too, because everybody's always, let's think in advance. People want engagement. Everybody wants to cover all their bases. Here's all the different ways you could make sure that even people that haven't been a part of the conversations in the forums or know the guilds that are organizing these things or whatever, it's incentive to get community involved.
Yeah,
and that's a reason for achievements.
If it worked out, then if this worked out, then they could then obviously expand upon it. So if it does turn out to be a success, they could start adding things. Something that occurs to me is like an item like a flag, which a player could purchase from a vendor, go to one of these areas and plant somewhere, and then that would effectively, if anyone attacked it, they would be flagged. That would all be known in advance, obviously. This is for PvE servers, and it would just be you've got to capture the flag that someone has planted, and that gives you the rewards and whatever. I mean, just little things like that to be like nodes that actually start off open world PvP. But again, minimal effort for BioWare.
When they first released the speeder pods, or the pod racing speeders on the cartel market, and people would buy them off the GTN, and then finally you got a group of people that they all dressed up in their Sand People outfits that they bought off of the vendor on Tatooine and mounted up on their speeders, and they did an organized race course. And they had people standing at locations that were where the corners were or whatever they had to weave through, and then they had people actually even in Sand People outfits sniping and trying to knock them off and interfere with the course, just like in in the movies. There are lots of things like that where, of course, BioWare could even go that step further. Here are little flag markers where this is basically the path for the race course. There are different things like that, but I actually really like the fact that we now have those markers, raid markers, for DPS healing and tank, but it would be sure nice if you could use it in the open world for exactly this kind of obstacle courses and races and stuff like that.
Something that Laurie brought up in chat is basically the problem with lag if there's too many players in one area. Now we know they've got the phasing, so they can split it up into multiple instances, but you can obviously get around that by everyone getting into ops groups, and that allows you to overcome the cap on the area. Yeah. So that'll be a problem regardless, unless the engine is improving enough that it makes a difference. But there's already the existing layering technology to make it work, but any given, if it gets too many players, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, it's not going to be, this does not reflect in gearing up for PvP as we understand it right now, or anything like that, because, there's probably going to be groups that are going to be able to find out ways to create some problems, stress the system, but this is just about community itself having a means of communicating with one another more than anything else, and engaging one another.
It's a good idea. Just have to see what happens, see where it goes.
So the one last point, which is if we wanted to go all crazy, I think this is actually something feasible. It is a matter of whether they'd want to allocate resources to set up the framework. The biggest, most crazy wall of crazy is you could have once or maybe twice a year, and I don't think that they can because the code probably even prohibits them from doing it, but open up the capital worlds for a open world PvP extravaganza where it's like, we've broken through the defenses of the Republic, Coruscant is vulnerable, everybody go to the planet, and then you just have open world, It would be a wild one-off open world PvP, but obviously they haven't allocated this kind of resources since they closed Ilum. It would still be pretty cool because we've all wanted to hit Capital World since it came out.
So they could add NPCs in to be the people you attack, and the other players on a PvE server, they would be unflagged unless they decided to participate, for example. And there'd be some sort of objective, like that in attacking Coruscant, maybe getting in and slaughtering a bunch of senators or something, they could all be added. Yeah, you're right. That's a lot of work, but why not? Why not?
Yeah. So that was my idea. I know it's definitely a little bit out there, but it felt good in my mind. I wanted to share it.
Yeah.
All right, and Tio, you the tentative one?
Skip.
All right.
We did our reminiscing last week.
True enough. All right, that's the show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our
Utini Rage!
Guild on the Empire side, that was a good one. Do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're on @OotiniCast. I Twitter under my own name @Brandon L. Star, and Tio uses his name @Jason Etheridge. Hip Twitter's under @Hypnotoad with a K at the end of the second fifth. Listen to Hip and Cypher Show, The Addicted, available on iTunes. Chong Twitter's @Empire Divider. Red Twitter's @R3DN4, or you can watch him on twitch.tv/R3DN4. Check out our website, OotiniCast.com, which has links to our presence on Google Plus and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher and Radio 4 Gamers. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thanks to the chat room, and thank you, Chong and Red.
Utini Rage!
We'll
Thanks,
see
guys.
you next week.
All right, guys, stop your recording now, please.
That's
All
pretty
right,
fun.
thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll
Those were
talk
good
to
Utini
you,
Rages.
next week.